All right, you asked for it, so here we go. Hello, welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make custom Dwarf Fortress maps. Now, here I have two different maps that I want to show you. Right now, we are looking at a Louisiana topographic map. This is the one that you want to be using. Not a lot of detail, shows rivers and elevation, that's it. This map you don't want to use. It has way too much detail. It's going to cause a lot of issues later on. So we're going to go ahead and download this image. It's going to be a GIF. Don't worry about that. Just find a online tool where you can go ahead and change it. So right here, I'm going to use a GIF to PNG converter. Once you go ahead convert it, then you can just download your PNG, and from there we can move on to our next step. Okay, now we need to go ahead and go to a special website because right now we have a little bit of an issue. Right now, the water in the map is blue. Well, yeah, that's what you want it to be, right? Not quite. If you have it blue whenever you get into your actual program, that's going to cause issues. Right here, I went ahead and showed a image of the West Coast. If you go ahead and use a map like Google Maps, like I showed, it's not going to quite work. I tried doing it. It somewhat works, but it's very messy. Right here, I'm using a program called Krita. That way I can get the exact RGB color. I'm going to use the color name and then go into Opera and actually Google that. That way I can just import it into the color changer tool that I'm using here. Right here, you can also see another example of what I was doing. Right here, it is Idaho. And if you're going ahead and not changing the color of the water to black like we're doing here, it's going to cause issues later on down the line. So went ahead, downloaded it, but here you can see that the lakes are just a slight shade too light for it to change. So we just do the step one more time, and now we have all the water turned black. That will give us a nice clean cut of where the waterways are and what is high and low. Now we need to change it to black and white, as well as change everything around it to black. This will just make the borders of the ocean very clear. So here we are quickly changing it. And we are done. Okay, now on to the next step. So right now we are going ahead and changing it to grayscale. The reason why we are doing this is so we can get as much detail removed from the image. The reason why we want this is going to end up being just our height map. And that, and basically what the height map is just the actual height and then where the ocean and waterways are going to be. So as we go ahead and remove it, we just quickly compress it and turn it into a PNG. From there, we need to resize it. Now, to do that, we need to go ahead and look at what sizes Dwarf Fortress will actually be using. So we're going to go ahead, quickly head over into Perfect World DF. That is what the program we will be using to do this. And here we can see the largest map that we can have is 257 by 257. So we need to change the image to 257 by 257. And you can't have it be any odd number like 257, 250, or anything larger than that because it will cause issues later on. It just won't work. Now we go ahead, go in. The recording broke earlier, so I am just showing you the completed map. First, we go into elevation and we will import the bitmap that we just created. So we go ahead, grab Louisiana. Now we go ahead and change the sea level and we change the tree line. Once we go ahead and change those options, we can also clear up what is considered an ocean and what isn't. Usually you want to fill in anything smaller than 3 because then it's just little clutters all over the map. Now we can go ahead and use turbulence and noise to go ahead and just give more detail. Because we did remove a lot of detail earlier, this is how we will actually get the map to look nice. Then we go ahead and go into rainfall. We can actually look at, as long as you're using real life, use actual wind direction maps to find out what the prevailing wind is. And by doing that, you can also find what the rain, how the rain and the different biomes end up forming on the map. So we go ahead, get a rough estimate, and as you can see, now we have correct biomes along the map in different areas, and then you can change them to whatever suits you best. Now we have our temperature map. This is just up to you. It really doesn't matter. I like using radial and then just setting a point up in the upper north to be the coldest or hottest. And then you can change how much of it is a certain temperature. So whether it is freezing, temperate, warm, hot, or scorching. After doing so, then we move on to the drainage map. Okay, the drainage map. This is basically showing where the swamps are going to be in your world, as well as grasslands and hills. First, we just click generate the map. The filter size will just change on what is considered part of it and what isn't. Then we can change the different thresholds. Dunes and swamps will give you dunes and swamps, and so on and so forth. Volcanism. So this is just where your volcanoes are going to be and what is considered igneous rock and what is the below 0 point. Because it is Louisiana, we're going to have it be fairly low. Finally, we have savagery. We go ahead, put a hardest savagery wherever we want, or we can go ahead and just specify a certain corner of the map is where the most savage point is. You can also leave any of these optional settings up to world generation. So here, now that we have everything done, we can see our completed map within Perfect World, just to get last bit of details. From there, we can go ahead and save, and by saving it, we go ahead and we can come back and fix it later. And finally, the export button will allow us to actually get the document to send it off to the actual game. So this is what your document will look like. You want to copy it, and then you want to go into your Dwarf Fortress settings and copy and paste that into your world settings, your world generation settings. Now we go ahead, open up Dwarf Fortress, and we just make sure everything is working correctly. So, create a new world, go into detailed mode, and it should pop up. Right there, we have Louisiana. We will want to scroll down before creating the world, and we want to make sure to disable the poll, because if we have a poll in place, it will override our temperature settings. And we also want to make sure that the mountain peak number is fairly low, especially on a map like Louisiana, where you're not going to have as many mountains. Then it's going to load in. I'm going to skip ahead just so we don't have to sit through the entire world generation. And here you have your completed map. If you have any issues with it, then you just go back and do some quick edits in Perfect World DF. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed. This is Quirbius, signing off.